Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. All right, folks, war fever is in the air all of a sudden. Wall-to-wall media coverage of U.S. officials warning of an imminent Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Nobody can confirm anything, but everybody's talking about it. Let me give you a quick chronology. I'm just reporting here. Secretary of State Blinken in Australia warned today of increased Russian aggression. He cited new Russian forces on the Ukraine border, and he warned American citizens that they should leave the Ukraine right away. Then came a report from PBS that U.S. defense officials now believe Putin has decided to invade the Ukraine. Our Jennifer Griffin also forwarded this report. That is, U.S. defense officials are saying there's an imminent invasion coming. And then National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan came into the White House press room for a very long briefing where he said the administration now sees an escalation in the conflict and that Russia is putting more pieces in place to invade Ukraine. Sullivan said it's likely to begin with aerial bombings and missile attacks. Now, that is truly new information, the aerial bombings part particularly, and that raises the risk factor of an invasion quite a bit if it is true. Now, our own Fox strategic analyst, General Jack Keane, on the air earlier this afternoon, he said he believes the diplomatic phase has ended. General Keane mentioned a 9-hour meeting, Russia, Ukraine, Germany, and France. That's the so-called Normandy framework. No solutions. The Russians walked out. Apparently, the Russians now are fending off any additional meetings. Sullivan reported that President Biden is expected to call Putin soon. Why? I don't know. I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me is to let Putin know that if he, in fact, starts bombing Ukraine, the U.S. will instantly cut all Russian banks and their central bank, cut them off from the dollar-based world banking transaction system. That's it. In other words, immediate expulsion from world finance and a restoration of the sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which, of course, should never have been ended in the first place. It was a big, fat gift to Putin many months ago. And by shutting down our XL pipeline and permitting the Nord Stream pipeline to open, that was an enormous reduction of American power and an increase of Russian power. A truly stupid thing the Biden administration has done, frankly, second only to the catastrophic Afghanistan withdrawal, which was the original signal of American weakness. That all helped Russia and China and Iran. Now, look I'm just a reporter here. I have no firsthand knowledge of anything, nor can I vouch for any of these speculations by the Biden administration. It does strike me as very curious. Suddenly today, the peaceniks in the Biden crowd have become the beat-the-drum hawks about a war in Ukraine. This, of course, comes a day after the terrible 7.5% CPI inflation report that shows no signs of abating, with no concrete steps by either the Treasury or the Federal Reserve to immediately put a plan of action to curb inflation. Nothing. This inflation is taking an extraordinary toll on the middle class. Estimates of $250 per month in higher costs for typical Americans. That's $3,000 a year. Inflation is the cruelest tax of all. It is a middle-class tax. And the inflation is going to bring down the Biden administration, certainly with all these other failures in foreign policy and, of course, the collapse of their domestic big government socialist BBB agenda. We'll focus on the inflation issue a bit later in the show.